Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, my channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to go over gold and silver, going to do some technical analysis. Again, I know I go over this stuff every single day. People want the updates. They like looking at technical analysis. And from day to day, it may not change that much. It's the turning point that I'm looking for. And hopefully you guys get a little bit better at looking for the turning point in these charts. What I'm looking for are large candlestick up days. I'm looking for a change in pressure, a change in force to apply. So think of it this way, and I thought of an analogy today to help everyone kind of understand this. Let's say price is the door. You've got people on one side of the door and other people on the other side of the door. We'll consider one side to be buyers, one side to be sellers. And what we're looking at is what is the pressure or force that's being applied by the buyer group versus the seller group. The door is the price. So in order to move the door open or shut, depends on how hard they push the door. If you have a couple of sellers barely pushing the door and a bunch of buyers come in and push the door open, the difference in pressure or force is quite great. And that's what those big candlesticks mean to me. The bigger candlesticks and the environment that I'm looking for are large up candlesticks, and I want to see a lot of buying pressure or force. In converse, on the opposite side, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a lot of large down days, which means the selling pressure or selling force is great. So I'm looking for buyers to step in to give that force and pressure a move in the opposite direction. If there's no buyers in buying in there, you're going to see very little candlesticks. There's going to be no buying pressure. I'm not going to see that force being applied to the stock in the upward direction. And what you're going to see is over time, you're going to see periods of consolidation periods or pullbacks where you have a lot of selling pressure. Then you're going to see periods where you're going to see more buying pressure, and you're going to see larger up candlesticks with small little down days. And that's my best way to kind of give you a visual of that. So let's jump in. I'm going to go over some gold and silver technical analysis here and see what we got. So I didn't draw any lines on this. What I'm looking at is this right side over here. And today, we finally had some buyers exert some force and pressure back. So what I'm seeing on the right side from this point on, little after June, is well, this was going to look like it was going to take off, but we got all these sellers in here. Sell, 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 sell. We finally got a little bit of buying pressure in. And usually what happens here is you get this buying pressure and it creates this kind of like back and forth movement, like this loop right here. See where we came up with all these big white candlesticks here? We shot up real fast and then a slow leak off of sellers. The move in the upward direction was greater than the downward direction. This right here is almost a prelude to every single move upward. You get these this is a signature trade. I see it all the time, this kind of move here, and then it moves higher. We changed right here, bunch of sellers, and I'm looking for this almost prelude move here where we come up, we pull back, and then we take off. So I'm still waiting for that move, but it's a positive direction here with this larger candlestick up day. Now, I know you guys are looking for easier explanations. You're looking for, hey, just point me to an RSI or an MACD. Those indicators are not very reliable. What I'm looking at is the actual price action each day to see what it can tell me. And by me looking at thousands and probably maybe even hundreds of thousands of charts, I have been able to decipher what is valuable and what is not. I don't use RSI necessarily as a huge indicator of anything. I don't use the MACD. That's kind of what you use if you're just barely learning it in the beginning. They may tell you a little bit of information, but it doesn't really tell you anything that's worthwhile on a turn. What I look for are large basing patterns, something to launch from. We don't have a launching pattern yet. And that's what we're missing here. The launching patterns created by these large up days where you get this huge, powerful surge higher and then a nice little leak off of sellers. I haven't seen that yet. All I've seen are sellers and no buying response yet. So I still think we're in a downtrend or in a consolidation sideways mode, something like that. Same with GDXJ, SILJ. Remember, these are large sell-off days, lots of momentum coming downward. We answered back with a smaller in size up day next to it. I still think the sellers have the upper hand, and I think we're going to see either further downside pressure or sideways at best. That's what I expect in the short term. Here's Endeavor Silver. Again, we've got a lot of selling pressure and momentum coming down. It's going to take a little bit of time to work this momentum off to the downside. We've got Yamana Gold. Now, see, what I would prefer here is a nice big kind of jolt higher and then a small leak off of sellers, but we have a large leak off of sellers. I think this is going to take some time to resolve itself. It's either going to be, I think we're probably going to move sideways a little bit longer, consolidate a little bit. Dorado Gold, looking at this guy coming on down. I think we're going to move sideways to lower just by looking at the chart. And I know that doesn't mean much. People are going to say, well, what are you looking at to determine that? I'm looking at these large down days everywhere. And I don't see a buyer response. I'm seeing lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. We came up and just rolled over. This was a good setup here. And if someone manipulated it, they did it right here in the middle of June to push this all lower. This one day right here was the move to move higher. This was a good setup. We had a nice move higher. We had a higher low here. We came on back. This was setting up to move to the upside. And in my opinion, someone thwarted this move right here and pushed this stuff lower. Given the market conditions, given the inflation rate, given the interest rates, given how they're doing QE to hold interest rates lower, they're tying the low end of the curve so it doesn't invert on them. And they're trying to hold the whole curve down. They're playing with all this stuff here. So yes, I'm a gold and silver bull. I hold a lot of money in this stuff, but I just don't see in the short term with this pattern right here being a launching pad to move higher from, at least not yet. Here's wheat and precious metals. Again, this one looks a lot better because we've moved up. We created a higher high. We came on back, and we're right here kind of at this support level. We don't have a ton of large down days. It wasn't like a huge puking of sellers just blowing out through here. So I think we're going to move sideways for a little bit longer and then potentially maybe even move higher in this one. Franco-Nevada, another one. I like this move higher. I don't see this barrage of sellers just dominating the stock here. And we came back up. We had another sell-off, but the buyers are matching this sell-off. This one looks a lot better than a lot of the other companies. Cisco Gold Royalty, we still have got a lot of selling pressure here. Momentum to the downside. We need to change this around. Now, I did a little bit more on this one, Teck Resources. This is one that I recently purchased. I'm staying away from some of those other ones. This one I do like more so. Now, we've got kind of this area here, which is a resistance area at $3. We've got a support area at $2.30. Now, I've got some stuff here, and this is what I'm looking at in this chart, which makes me bullish on Teck Resources more so than any of the other charts I've seen. Look at the power and the movement here. Big 3-day up move. Slow leak off of sellers back to the bottom. This is I see this all the time. It came all the way back down, consolidated. Boom, boom. Big pressure, big force being exerted by the buyers in this area, slow leak off of sellers. There's still sellers there. It's not time. Gold hasn't taken off yet. It needs to consolidate longer. Big higher move up, and then we've got small little down days everywhere. Big move up, small leak off of sellers. Now at this point here, you can see big impulse move higher between these two candlesticks here. The slow leak off of sellers. And remember what I talked about, the prelude to a move. Remember that the way that prelude looks like. A big move higher and a slow leak off of sellers back to almost the bottom. Bullish engulfing, bullish move here, pop higher, pull back, another prelude move. We had the bottom here, 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and a whole bunch of about a month pulling back. 1, 2 up days, a little pullback. I think that this is going to explode higher to the upside if we get the right conditions in gold and silver. This one looks pretty good. I bought more TEUTF, is the ticker symbol that I bought, down here. I added a little bit in to that area. So I like that one. And remember, I like the royalties. From this point on, in March, Ely Gold changed its tune here. We had some up days, but we're still in the downtrend, still in the downtrend. But remember the prelude move. Large candlesticks all up through here, small pullback. Higher low. Boom, big, huge buying pressure and force was applied and not much seller force back. Big move higher, not much coming back. This is where you buy. 80 cents, 65 cents, all in here. 70 cents, buy it here. 80 cents, buy it here. We got nice big move higher, small little pullback. One down day is not going to thwart it. It's all small down days all through in this area and large buying pressure coming to the upside. Ely Gold, I know they got bought out, but this chart here from this March point on looks fantastic. This side looks different than this side, in my view, when looking at these charts. Impact Silver, still a lot of selling pressure here. Big down days. Big down days. We still had, this could pull back more. We had some up movement here, bullish engulfing. It was going to try to come up, but the sellers are thwarting every move higher. But the conditions, the underlying market conditions are right for gold and silver. We might just be early. And then Discovery Silver, it was looking great over here. We were moving on up. We got all this selling pressure over here. Lots of selling pressure. I still think we're going to move down. Too much momentum. There's no base to jump higher from. So that's what I think on the gold and silver front. I just wanted to kind of touch it, go into detail on some of this and what I'm looking for in the charts. I'm specifically looking for the buyers to be in control, moving it higher, large buying pressure and force being applied to the upside. And we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing selling pressure in some of these. Some of them they do exhibit that buying pressure. Teck Resources is one of my favorite royalty companies. It's a small little royalty company. Please do your own research on it. This is not financial advice, just financial education. If you like it, make sure it fits your strategy and your portfolio fits in there. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up, and thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.